Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Backstage with Angelo. Tonight, I have another guest from the royalty, from the Canadian royalty. But before introducing our royal guest tonight, I wanted to remind you guys to click on the subscribe button so you can see more videos and more episodes of more of my special guests. And you can click on the bell so you can get the notification when I post new videos. So tonight I am with someone special. She was Miss Royalty International 2020, and she is an apraxia advocate and an anti-bullying advocate as well. She has spoken in 2 countries. She's then later going to tell us where that was. 6 USA or states in the United States and 4 provinces in Canada. And she has also reached out to other countries and other people around the world, trying to spread her message of anti-bullying and inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about Miss Tourism World Canada 2021, Samantha Sewell. Welcome to my show.
Thank you for having me. It's amazing to be here.
I'm honored, and especially because Samantha has been extremely patient today. We've been having some technical issues. I was having the issues. And she was like, I cannot hear you. Do you know sign language? I was like, I should have done that sometime in my life. And I never did it. So that would have been so useful. But here we are. And I'm very glad to have you in my show, Samantha. It's, as I was saying before, it's not only because you're a beauty queen, but also because of the message you're spreading to other people, to other youngsters. I really want to talk about that because I think it's a very important conversation that I want to have, especially because my channel is not only devoted to interview beautiful people, but have a purpose behind it. And I think at the end of the day what I want to, showcase is that everybody struggle in life in so many ways. And that we have the power within ourselves to change that, like to make it positive. So Samantha, I know that you're from Vernon, BC. That's a place, that's a city I always go through when I go to BC, which is my favorite province. But that's between you and me. Nobody else heard that, right? I love it. So Samantha, what can people do when they go to Vernon for the first time?
Well, if you were to come to Vernon for the very first time, I would take you to the historic O'Keefe Ranch, because that's where Vernon really started. That is the start of our town and where it all started. So going to O'Keefe Ranch, one, they change it for every season. They have ghost tours during October. They have a Victorian Christmas, which is gorgeous. And you can go to all the original village pieces in Vernon. Like the original general store is still there where you can go, and they actually still have penny candy. So it's really, really cool. It was a highlight of like my childhood when we go there every single year, and you'd buy, a bunch of candy for a nickel.
Oh,
so you can go there. You can see the original graveyard with like some of the first settlers' graves there. You can tour a mansion, which I always like to chuckle, because the mansion nowadays would be a small home, but it was like the state of the art back then. Not only that, but you can also go on guided tours during non-COVID-19 times, of course, and they act. So the actors are all acting like they would. You get to go to the school, and you actually like take place in an old-fashioned school where they slap the desk with the ruler. So you really go back to that time when Vernon really started. And I think it's one of the best places to go if you're new to the town, because you really have a understanding and an appreciation for where we began.
And I think that's very important, like to know history, to understand more about the people, the traditions, like what's going on in town. And that happens in December, you said?
All through the year. They change it per season. So in December, they do a Christmas one, that you get to see how they celebrate Christmas way back, I believe in the 1800s. And there's some sections are 1800s, some are like 1600s, all the way up. So it's really unique to see. I did that 2 years ago. They didn't have it this year, sadly. But we actually got that was back when I was Miss Canada for Royalty International. And we got to roast chestnuts on an open fire. And these traditional things that we all hear about, but we've sort of lost throughout the years. Halloween, they do a ghost tour, so it's known for being haunted. So they've actually had like some of the famous paranormal investigators, such as Ghost Adventurers. If you watch TV, I'm sure you've heard of them. They've come and done like shows there where you actually get to watch and see how they hunt ghosts. And they do hay rides. During October, they also do one of Western Canada's largest and scariest haunted mazes. And it is so creepy. For the past 3 years, they've actually sponsored me to go there with my mom, and they have 3 different mazes.
Do you like that?
Like, hilarious.
Are me and my mom, it?
I went to it, and it's scary. Like, me and my mom run different directions, and we lose each other. They chase you with chainsaws. It's insane. But it's
now, is that
so
during
fun.
the night?
Oh yeah, it's at night. So it's usually as soon as the sun goes down, they start, and they go to like 12. When you do 3 different mazes, it is so freaky. Oh,
Samantha,
and it's at night, and you get lost. It's
I'm not gonna go there.
It's scary. It is very scary. They actually give you a warning that it's not for the faint of heart, and you have to be over the age of 16, I believe, to go. So
of course, yeah, you need to be ready to be completely scared and to face that. Because every time I go to the Okanagan area, I go through Vernon, but I've also stayed in a hotel. I think this is a resort that it's in the mountains. I don't remember the name.
Silver Star Mountain Resort, yes.
Sorry, was that again?
Silver Star Mountain Resort.
Silver Star, probably. Well, you know it very well because it's your town, it's your area.
Beautiful village.
Yeah, it's really really nice. I think I have stayed there twice, and I would stay there for a third time. Yeah. But usually I stay in Kelowna, so yeah. But you never know, right?
Yeah.
So Samantha, I wanted to know because people are here to know, about our beauty queens and everything they have done. But we also have a very important topic to talk about, and I really want to go over it. But before talking about all that, I wanted to know because I'm curious. I see a lot of sashes behind you. People see them too. And Samantha told me that there is another wall where she has all her crowns. Crowns with an S at the end. You can imagine how many, right? So how many pageants have you done so far?
I've been in pageantry. It'll be my 6th year in pageantry on February 15th. And I've done a lot of these are like direct entry titles as well, though I sort of count those as pageants because you do have to usually do an essay and you have to win the title still. So I have held 8 different titles, 9 if you include tourism, which I keep forgetting that I have because I haven't done the sash yet. So 9 titles now. All of those either being regional or national, but last year I did win an international title. So I've been in my fair share of pageantry.
So 6 years. So it's your 6th. So Miss Tourism World Canada is your 6th.
My 6th year. I've held about 9 titles.
Wow. Did you get tired of doing that? Are you going to let other girls win sometime in the future?
You know what? I don't know how to describe it. I always especially this year when I can't go out, I feel I don't know what to do on the weekends. When it's non-COVID, I would do an event a weekend. I'd be going out. So to not do it feels very weird, and I'm craving just for it to be done because I want to get going and just every weekend go out and start appearing again. So I live for it. I love it. My favorite thing is that from working with children and knowing sign language, and especially focusing on my platform of Be Someone's Here Not Bystander, and working with individuals who have disabilities, going up to children and showing them that I'm the same as them is the reason I do it. There was right before COVID when I was I started as the first year this happened, I was Miss Teen Canada for the Galaxy system, and I went out and a little girl was staring at me, so I went up to her and I said hi, and mom goes, oh sorry, no, she's deaf. I was like, oh fine, I know sign language, hi, how are you? Right. And this little girl, I kid you not, her eyes I've never seen that joy in a child's eyes before. She just lit up and she was signing like a mile a minute, like blown away that the princess could sign. So it was like, and that's why I do it. Just moments like that when, I can make a difference in someone's life. I don't do it for the crowns. I don't do it for the sashes. I don't do it to go on those stages. So I love that part of it. I love the children and making a difference more.
And so people might think, well, if you want to do that, why don't you just do it instead of going to pageants? But people don't know that pageants provide, and write this down, guys, pageants provide the platform because a beautiful woman and a beauty queen, the winner, she's heard, right? Like she provides she's a personality that she represents whatever she wants to portray. In this case,
100%.
in Samantha's case, and in many others, it's a message. It's a message. In Samantha's case, it's inclusion. So I guess it was an amazing experience, Samantha.
It was.
You cannot
It was.
probably you did a good job on describing it, because sometimes people say, well, I cannot describe it. And it makes sense, right?
Well, when I started pageantry, I did not know that it was a platform. I didn't know what a platform was. That night, I'm backstage on my phone, me and my mom texting in the audience. I have to say a platform speech. What is a platform? And I went out there and I spoke about getting bullied. I didn't go into the detail I go now because I was still really not confident. But I had judges come up, and I won that pageant, and I had the judges come up and say, you know what? It was your platform speech that set you apart. And really soon I noticed that when I wore the sash, all of a sudden people looked at me and listened to me, versus if I was just another girl going, hey, this is my story. So I was really blown away when I started pageantry as well. I thought the stereotypes, as I feel a lot of people do. I know people in my life who don't know I did pageantry, and I'm like, oh, I'm a pageant girl, or just someone I meet, and like, what do you do? And I'm telling them about pageantry. They also look at me like, what? And I really have to, explain it that no, it's not just wearing a crown and waving. It's so much more.
Yeah, and that's something that I can say it's true, and I'm not just saying it because I'm doing this interview to you, Samantha. It's because I have seen in social media, I always see you out there. You're not just getting photos done in a studio. I look so pretty, and here's my crown and my sash. You're out there. I've seen you in social media for a long time, and I'm like this girl does a lot of stuff. Like, she's always on the streets with people. You're always wearing your crown, your sash, but you're also doing something. It's really hard to see.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and you know what? It's something, and I really want to go through this topic and at this moment, if that's okay. I Because at some point I feel like I identify somehow with everything that happened to you when you were little, and because I have family members who have some speech impediments as well, and I know it's hard. You need time to process, and you need to understand the needs and how to treat the person, and it's a whole world, things that you need to learn, but it's enriching. It's an enriching process. Now, I want to know, because you're an advocate, and people usually, they do these things because they have been victims. They know what it feels like, and they know that there's other people out there going through the same, and they want to do something, which is your case. So how is it that you became an advocate for anti-bullying and inclusion?
Well, in grade 9, I went through the worst year of my life. I was so excited for band class. I learned learned how to do the flute the summer before. It was like my dream to do band class, and it got shattered when my flute broke in the second week of class. And my teacher instantly would not let me borrow hers, and she shoved me in a storage room and told me to sort boxes. A few weeks passed, and eventually I got my flute back. But as you can imagine, from spending 2 weeks sorting boxes, I was now severely behind. So instead of supporting me, this teacher would put me in a small room, closet sized room with a piano stuffed in it, gave me a book, and forced me to attempt to learn the flute with a book. And it got worse and worse through there. I didn't want to go to the class anymore because I wasn't allowed to be with the class. And it was becoming up to the point where I was losing my self-esteem. And that's when it started getting worse. She would come in during my breaks and she would block herself so I could not exit. She would physically abuse me by pushing me down, which is illegal for a teacher to do. I would get up to leave, and she would physically use her force to grab my shoulder and push me back down. I have it on tape of her calling me mentally handicapped, telling her that I need to go into an easier class because it was not a class appropriate for me. She forced me to play while I had bronchitis. She would not allow me to leave that room. If I left the room, even during a break, I would be yelled at. So it got to the point where sometimes I had to crawl out of the room to try to get out of the door without her noticing. And every single day, I was phoning my mom, hysteric in tears. And my mom would come. She would be telling me not to hang up the phone. This was about 8 years ago, so we had a wired phone on the school, but we weren't allowed to use it, and I used it anyways. And she told me, you do not hang up that phone. So she was on the phone with me with her cell phone, racing to the school every single day to get to the principal. And sadly, the principal didn't do anything to help, but
Wow.
every single day she was there. It got to the point where I got severely depressed and severely to the point where my mom thought I was suicidal. And thinking back, I probably was. I don't fully remember if I was, but I think I was. And I had a phone Kids Help phone because I thought there was no end in sight for it. She wrote on my report card telling my parents they had to have me checked, and I quote, for mental retardation. She wrote this on my report card.
Oh my God.
It got to the point where I didn't want to go to school anymore, and I used to love school. I didn't want to do music, and music was my only escape as a child from the bullying that happened at school. I wasn't myself, and it just kept getting worse and worse until I phoned Kids Help phone, and they helped reassure me it wasn't wrong. And what I was doing, I was not at fault, and it was extremely wrong what she was doing. They helped support me in that. And all the teachers in the school, this is the part that really bothers me, knew that this other teacher was doing this. They heard it through grade 12 girls that I was in drama. So I was telling some of the friends I had made in drama that were severely older than me. I'm in grade 12, I'm in grade 9. And I'm telling them what's happening to me. And only one teacher overheard these kids talking about how they were going to help me. And I did not know this teacher. He was not my teacher at the time. He phoned my mom and told her that she was gonna make a difference. He ended up, there was other bullying happening as well, so he ended up supporting with that, giving me a safe spot to eat, and sort of just giving me a safe place for lunch and to be myself.
Right.
And this bullying, it continued all the way through that term. And to this day, I have PTSD from it. If this woman who bullied me, if she passes me on the street, I still get white. My coworkers have noticed it because she's passed us a couple times when I'm out walking, and I freeze. I still panic. She has given me a lot of PTSD. From that point on, if a teacher wanted to call me out, I would look at them and just shake my head and be like, no, you're telling me right here because I'm not leaving my chair. So
did this happen in Vernon?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It really, really changed my outlook on life and my self-esteem, my mental health, all of it.
And it's incredible how one person, and this is for people who are out there teaching kids especially, because adults, we know how to defend ourselves. Like, we can stand for ourselves. Kids are learning. Kids are watching. In a very delicate age where they're basically going through, the learning process. It's not easy. They're getting used to a lot of things. If they don't get support, and if they get bullied, they're gonna start, accumulating all this type of uh, trauma experiences. So, because when I hear all that, it's not only unfair, but it's not humane.
Yeah.
Like I cannot think of someone, like if I were to teach a class and I would have someone in the classroom with special needs, I would probably approach the parents to know what is the right way to approach the kid, because they're sensitive. Kids are sensitive to whatever we tell them, to whatever we do, and then probably see, well, maybe I am not ready to teach someone with special needs. I need training, or maybe I can, but I want to look for the best way. So I understand your mom was aware of it. This teacher that you mentioned who phoned your mom, he was aware as well, he or she, I don't know. Um, was there any action taken against her? Because as you mentioned, it's illegal. It's inhumane. Like it goes against all, I would say, inclusion features or characteristics, and I've never seen that. I never thought this would happen in Canada, but it doesn't depend on the country. It depends on the person, right?
Yeah.
What happened to her?
She disappeared for about a week, and it was the best week of grade 9, that grade 9 semester, because we got subs and I could actually be with the class. And she came back a week later and nothing happened. She ended up retiring my grade 12 year. So between the grade 9 and the second semester, grade 12, every time she passed me in the hallway, I would not be able to face her. I literally had, like, if she was coming towards me, even if my class was right there, I would show up late for class because I would have to take the long way around. I could not pass her. So it definitely affected it, and it breaks my heart that nothing happened. I don't know why nothing happened. Like my mom, she spoke to everyone. She went to the Ministry of Education. So I don't really know what happened there. But sadly not. If anything did happen, not much happened.
Wow. Yeah, it's really unfair. To be honest, it makes me feel a little angry to hear those things, especially not because it happened to a person. Again, it happened to a kid. Kids don't know how to defend. They're harmless. They have no idea how to respond to this kind of situations. Differently.
I was 14 years old too. I was grade 9, so I'm 14.
You're still a kid, right? Like you're still. I mean, nobody's supposed to touch you. Nobody's supposed to make you stay in there. That's false imprisonment to keep someone with.
I've never heard that one before, but maybe that's a new one I should throw.
Yeah, well, you know what? I remember that for one of my law classes, and I remember the fact that you put someone in a room and you don't give them the option to get away, because if there is an option, then it's not imprisonment. But what she did, it was false imprisonment, right?
Yeah.
So I think false imprisonment, if I remember well. But so and after that, at what age do you realize that you had to do something for other people that would probably be going through the same situation?
I got when I was 16, so I was still really recovering from it. But in the second half of 16. In the second half of grade 10, I went for this title up here, Miss Teenage Okanagan, and it was really funny how I got into that though. I was trying to just give myself a relief. I was having so much anxiety and so much fear to go to school because of running into this teacher, as well as being bullied because of my speech impediment. I just wasn't enjoying high school. So I started, a new app came up called Instagram. And back when it was new, I'm sure you remember, all of Instagram was like screenshots. Like that's all Instagram was. And I was
no video.
There was no video, none of that. It was all just screenshots. Like there was no even selfies. And I was one of the first accounts to go, what back then was big. Now it would be nothing. But I was like, oh my goodness, it's getting off. And it was just screenshots of like clothing that matched and looked good. And I was posting every day, and I was getting so many followers and likes, and I finally got a phone that could take a selfie, so I took a selfie. And my followers were going, "Oh my goodness, you're pretty, you're pretty." And it was the beginning of February that year where someone commented a link to the pageant and told me I should enter. And I brushed it off at first, like, yeah, whatever. And then more and more of my followers were saying, enter, 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 enter. So I approached my mom, and right away she looks at me and goes, no.
Of course.
No.
Yeah.
Just like that. She was afraid that I would get more bullied in pageantry, not knowing what pageantry was. And she was afraid that it would injure my self-esteem more than I already was injured. But me being a teenager, I pressured her and pressured her and pressured her. And finally, 2 weeks before finals, she said yes. So cramping for, photo shoots, photogenic gowns, swimsuit, all of that within 2 weeks. Yeah, that was my first pageant. Shoes that were this high. Those were the heels.
Well, the first time, right?
Yeah. And I went in the interview and I wasn't nervous, which was really weird, especially for someone who was told they never speak. And I just sort of just blabbered. I don't even remember what I said, but I just remember ranting on and on. And I competed and I shared my platform for the very first time. Instantly, I had people after I got crowned coming up to me in the audience, telling me that they were bullied. And all I did was just spoke about how I never even mentioned the teacher back then. Because I was afraid. I didn't know the legal aspect. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to mention the teacher and I'm going to fail. Because I was still in high school. I thought, oh, I'm going to fail high school if I mention a high school teacher. So I just mentioned that I was bullied by children and by my peers and how lonely I felt sometimes. And I had people come up to me from the audience saying how that changed them, that I was competing in a pageant in a pretty gown and I was bullied. And these people in the audience were just regular people, and it was in Vancouver, so people I would never have seen before. And they were just regular people that came to see the pageant. And hearing that there's something I said could impact people, I started thinking, how many other people out there could be the same?
Exactly.
So I didn't do a lot of speaking until I competed at Miss Teen Canada. And then again at Miss Teen Canada, I messed up big time. I was so nervous. There was a huge audience. But again, people are coming up and cheering for me. So fast forward, after winning Miss Teen Galaxy Canada is when I really noticed it, because I spoke at Teen Fest Canada. It's a big event. And
of course.
I went out there and I shared my story. And it was live on live stream as well. And that next night, I got messages from people all over Canada about how hearing a beauty queen share that kind of story changed their lives. So that was the moment. That was in 2016, way back in 2016, where I discovered my voice mattered and I could change people's lives. Since then, I have spoken at Chicago Fashion Week. In 2019, I spoke at New York Fashion Week, which was insane to speak at. It was a suicide prevention show at New York Fashion Week, and it was incredible to be able to share my story on such a huge stage. And once again, I've had people from Australia message me about, oh my goodness, my child has apraxia and they're being bullied. Thank you so much. I've communicated with people from Japan, from Philippines, from Indonesia, all these places that I never have been, let alone thought I could touch and make a change in their lives. But my story has been able to help them. And the reach I've seen with it is absolutely insane.
Because there's so many people in the world, around the world, that have gone or are going through that, and they need some kind of support. Like when people they start feeling alone, it's when they commit suicide because they think they don't matter, that nobody cares about them, and it's not true. That's a great moment to reach out to family, friends, beloved ones. Like people are close because they do matter. They do matter.
Yeah.
Now, Samantha, and this question is because I know there's many women out there, like many moms,
Yeah.
many families out there. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, that I have family members who are going through similar situations, and um, just for a message of hope for us and for them, it is at what age did they notice you had this speech impediment, and how was the process, like at what time in your life you started overcoming it?
So apraxia is a really hard one to overcome as well. But my parents found out, like, I'm adopted, so they had no idea that it was a possibility. And around 2.5, they realized that, oh my goodness, I'm speaking, but they couldn't understand me. They started to figure out, oh, she's saying stuff, but I was just sort of saying vowel sounds. I wasn't speaking how we think speaking is. So right away, they went to the doctors, and after several doctors checked me, and they said, no, she'll never speak. She'll never be able to communicate like everyone else. But my mom was always like, no, my daughter will try. Like, she was determined that, like, she was not just gonna listen, she was gonna try.
That was not an option for her.
It wasn't very well known back then. So it was just, they had pretty much no idea what was wrong with me. It was just, she'll probably never be able to communicate like everyone else. So my mom and my dad were both so supportive with it. I had a binder full of pictures so I could point and communicate. I learned sign language, basic sign language back then. And we worked every day to try to speak. However, it was a long process. I didn't say my very first understandable and age appropriate sentence until around 15 years old. So it's still a challenge for me. I still have some days that are really hard and some days that are really easy. The thing with apraxia is it's the path in your brain. So I know 100% what I want to say, but it's the path coming down from my brain to my mouth is where it gets messed up. So there's still days that are really, really hard. It's going to be a lifelong challenge for me, and I've accepted that now, that I'm going to have to constantly work on my sounds, on how I'm speaking, constantly practice speaking. I had to learn the alphabet by sight, for instance, which is something that no one else usually has to. You usually learn it by sound.
Yeah.
So these little changes, however, I had a severe case of apraxia, and I've overcome it to an understandable point. I will never fully overcome it. And I'm okay with that now because it's part of who I am. So even though it's a challenge, no matter where you are, you will get to the point where you are understandable.
And I gotta say, I seriously, I can understand everything you say. You speak very well. You've obviously been a speaker. It's not only like you say it. There's a lot of videos. There is a lot of information out there, and you have definitely overcome it. You don't really have to worry about what people think. People can understand what you're saying. You can communicate completely fine. Like, it's, for me, I would say you definitely overcome it. Like, you did. You did, girl. And that's very interesting because so many people they're told, like parents, they're told at a very when their kids are like too little, and they say, no, this person will never be able to do this. But that should be a motivation for them to try. You can never stop trying if you want to do something, right? And family support is important. Like, if family is together pushing, your parents, they didn't accept, your mom didn't accept a no for an answer. Like, she didn't take a no, and she was like, my daughter is gonna talk, and she's gonna speak. And that's something that you do very well. Like, you've been doing that for a long time.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Exactly. Now I understand where participating in pageants come from. So it's somehow those difficult times in your life, it puts you on the path, in the perfect place in time for you to be able to help other people.
Exactly. The one thing I always say is, I didn't like getting bullied, but I wouldn't, if I could go back and change it, I wouldn't. I definitely didn't appreciate it, but it made it who I am today, and it's made it me able to help people and be stronger and be a stronger support system.
Samantha, we have to do something to that teacher. I need to go to Vernon. And we're gonna work together on something. That's a joke.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know what? It's yeah. Oh my God! One day you gotta tell me who it is. I tell you. No, but I'm really glad, and especially because now you're in 2021. You're Miss World Tourism Canada, and I understand that one of the duties is, probably kind to promote tourism in the country. It's really hard right now because of COVID, but what's your preparation? Like, how is it going? How is it? Have you heard anything about the pageant? Something like, is it going to be online? Do you know something about it?
Yeah, it will be in person, and it will be in November of 2021 in London, United Kingdom, of course, all depending on the situation of the world. But they are really pushing it to be in person. It will be live streamed as well. So it's so exciting. It is so phenomenal. I knew I was the title holder last year. However, I couldn't say anything because I was holding my royalty title as well. However, now I'm off contract. So I haven't handed over my royalty title, only because of COVID. But like I said, I am off contract, so I can make my own choice. I have a sash that's lost. Well, it's in the mail somewhere. It was supposed to be here 2 days ago, but who knows?
But why would it make a difference when you have a lot of sashes in the background?
Well, because this one says Miss Tourism World Canada.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're in 2021.
Yeah. So I did start training last year because I thought I was going to compete in November last year. And then I put my training with my coach sort of on hold and just in my own training. However, I start coaching again tomorrow morning with my coach for Miss Tourism World Canada. And I'll be doing at least one coaching session each month leading up to the pageant. I already have my international gown. It just needs to be fitted. Was starting to build my national costume. So it's all sort of working out. I'm really working this year towards my platform of inclusive tourism, which is something that's lacking in the tourism industry, and that support for individuals who are deaf, hard of hearing, blind, disabled in any way is really hard for us to communicate and to travel. So I want to work with the different airports to educate them on how we can support these individuals and make tourism more welcoming to individuals with disabilities. However, due to COVID-19, I'm also focusing heavily on supporting local tourism, where we can keep this industry alive and booming in our own communities. So once I get my sash, every weekend I will be doing a video showcasing an Okanagan, and as the restrictions open a bit, traveling hopefully a little farther to eventually all of BC, a local tourism hotspot to show how you can do tourism while staying at physical distance, while wearing a mask, while being COVID safe. You can still go and support these organizations and this industry, such as going to, as I said earlier, O'Keefe Ranch. You can go to your own self-guided tour and stay 6 feet apart from everyone and still be safe, but still support the tourism industry.
Yeah, and I think it's a very interesting project. I think you were talking about that in another interview. About this system that you would like to promote or airports to promote, and I think that's a new idea. It's something new. I've never heard any other pageant contestant talking about this. I don't want to downhand anyone, but what I mean is that it's different, right? And it's probably something that I'm pretty sure it's going to be something that's going to be so beneficial to other people, and mostly because there's so many people, they have no idea about individuals with apraxia and other disabilities, for speaking or communicating, and it's going to be very educational, not only for us, but like for everybody, right? So and I want to see the national costume once it's done.
I'll be doing a photo shoot up at Silver Star when it's done.
Okay, I need to see those photos. later,
Yeah.
later. I know you have a lot of work to do. It's a lot. Like participating in pageants, it's really it's a hard work. But talking about pageants, I wanted to know, do you have anything in the future, like any plans? Because you're just 22, like you're
Yeah.
so young, and you've been to six pageants already. Like by the age of 25, you're gonna be like, I've done all the pageants of the world in the whole planet. There's no more pageants for anyone.
I have them all.
I got the power.
Yeah, well, I definitely my overall goal, I'm sure as most pageant Koreans' goal, is to go to Miss Universe. I do see myself going there. However, I wanted to go to a major pageant like Miss Tourism before I went to Universe to understand that side. I've only ever competed in Canadian and US systems. So I wanted to go to, if you don't know, Miss Tourism World is one of the top 10 pageants in the world. So to be able to go there and to a more major pageant, it has larger coverage and get my name out there so people already know who I am when I go to Miss Universe.
Exactly, and everything you have done, because
exactly
nowadays pageants are focused on doing something more than looking pretty, which is it's always good because, as I said before, beautiful women are heard, and people pay attention to what they're saying. But if on top of that you have a purpose and you have education, I know you have a degree in education. You're a teacher, aren't you?
I don't have a degree. I'm finishing my early childhood educator. Mm-hmm. However, I have my deaf education certificate as well as my special education certificate. So I am a preschool teacher at Little Miracles Preschool in Vernon. I have my own classroom. I have my own class. And I love every moment of it, really.
It's a passion. It's a passion when you do that, like when you really do it because you're devoted to it and you have an advocacy, right? So that makes it strong. There's a drive in everything you're doing right now, especially in education. So yeah, well that's pretty good. Samantha, what would you tell? We have talked about this. We said there's many people going through this. There's many people who have gone through it. I probably did in regards to my weight. I was extremely skeletal, thin before, and it took me to a point where I didn't want to be skinny anymore because I thought it was a bad thing. And I talk about that in another video that you guys are going to see soon out there on my channel. And then I started gaining weight, and I was so happy because I was finally gaining weight. And then I just became overweight, which is what I'm right now. But I think I started loving every inch of it. Like the fact that this is me, this is who I am. If I'm gonna work this out and make it different, it's because I'm gonna get some health benefit, not just because what people are gonna think about me being thin or heavy or whatever. What can you tell to the new generation, like people who are going through this, especially youngsters?
As cliche as it sounds, I would tell them it does get better. I've been there. I've been through what feels like the end. It feels like you're at the bottom of the pit. However, it always does get better. There's always someone there to reach out to and to support. For me, that was Kids Help Phone. I phoned 1-800-668-6868, and they changed my life. So don't be afraid to reach out to ask for help because help is always there. And I always say, if you are afraid to ask for help, it's okay, because phone the helplines. The helplines are 100% anonymous. They're non-judgmental. You can the cool thing about the 21st century that we live in, you don't have to talk to someone on the phone. You can text I don't remember what it is, but Kids Help Phone now has a texting service. They have a texting service for adults and youth as well. You can email with a support worker, and there's all these free options and anonymous options where you can go and get help. So even if you don't want to go and ask your parents or your loved one for help, you can still get help in other ways that are completely secret and completely anonymous.
And they're safe. Like when they do that, you guys are going to be safe. Don't be afraid to speak up. Just say what you got to say. See something, say something. Don't be afraid. Your voice can help other people, in need of attention in regards to these matters. And I think that's amazing. Samantha, it's been amazing. It's been great to have you with me in my show, especially because of the message you're spreading to other people and everything you've been doing, because you serve as a sample for new generation on everything they can do, no matter what impediments, no matter what people say they can or cannot do. They still can overcome every issue, and they can still go forward and reach any goals that they have in their lives. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here with me today, and I hope to have you in the future after you win Mr. Mural title. And you're gonna have all of our support. I'm gonna be there watching and following and everything we can do. Of course, you just have to give us a shout. Okay, well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Samantha Sewell, Miss World Tourism Canada 2021. Thank you for watching Backstage with Angelo. And remember, you can subscribe to my channel if you want to keep watching more episodes and amazing people like Samantha, and know more about their amazing lives and everything they've been doing. And click on the bell to get notifications of new videos. Thank you very much for watching, and see you for the next show. Bye.